Hey y'all, I have a prophetic word for you. So I need you to get your notebook. I need you to write it down. I need you to take notes. So I was listening to someone prophesy, right? And telling God's people that someone is going to lead you to your destiny. And she brought up the story of Joseph. And many of us know about Joseph, how God anointed him to have dreams. And when he told his brothers hated on him, right? Sold him off to Egypt. And God instantly spoke to me. He said, Tawana, no. He said, I need you to tell your people that their destiny helper is remembering them. We don't want someone to lead us to where we're supposed to go. Because when that man came and led Joseph to his brothers, what did his brothers do? His brothers threw him in a pit. His brothers then sold him off to Egypt, right? We already done been through that. Right now, you're in your waiting season. You're in your waiting season, and God said, you have been waiting long enough. It's time for you to take your rightful position. It's time for you to go from the pit to the palace. That prophetic word that lady said, God, he spoke to me instantly. He said, no, in this moment, we got Genesis 41, 9 through 13. Read it. It says how the butler remembered when Pharaoh was having these dreams and it was just vexing him, and he just needed an interpreter, and he was getting all kind of musicians and all this stuff. And no, baby, he needed the real thing. He needed Joseph. He needed somebody anointing. Listen, that person that you helped, that you did a good deed to, is remembering you right now, and they're calling and they're gonna send for you. You just cannot give up, because your waiting season is equipping you. Your waiting season is anointing you. Your ways, if you just gotta wait at that job before you leave a little while longer, you have to wait it out. If you gotta wait before you move, if you gotta wait in that little shoebox apartment before you able to move into your own bigger space, baby, you just gotta wait it out. If you gotta sleep on that air mattress a little bit longer before you're able to get you a comfortable bed to sleep in, you gotta wait it out. If you gotta sleep in that car just a little while longer, baby, you gotta wait it out. If you gotta catch the bus just a little while longer, God said you gotta wait it out, because what I have in store for you is gonna be plenteous, because you have people to feed. When the butler remembered Joseph and brought him to Pharaoh, he interpreted that dream for Pharaoh. Pharaoh put him in his rightful position. Listen, God have to bless your hands to be able to manage and multiply the harvest that's coming to you, Lord. This word is so prophetic. And when that woman said about that man was gonna lead you to the proper place you need to be, God said, no, my children been waiting too long. My children done already been in a pit, God said. My children is suffering long enough from disappointment, from shame and ridicule and hurt and accusations. Potiphar's wife messed with Joseph for so many years. Do you hear me? Joseph had to keep his innocence. He had to go in jail and sit for 2 years and wait till his appointed time. There's an appointed time for God to bless you in your rightful position, because he got to bless your hands to be able to manage and multiply the harvest that's coming to you. Joseph's brothers had to come back to him when there was a famine in their land. Whoever you got to feed, baby, there's a famine that's going to be coming to them. They're going to be in a drought. They're going to be lacking. And they're going to have to come back to you for you to supply to them, because your hands was able to multiply. Your hands was able to manage the blessings that God bestowed upon you. God favors you. Your waiting season is not in vain. You got to wait it out, because God is equipping you. He's strengthening you. He's anointing you. He's showing you how to manage the great that's going to come. Because when you lack for so long, You're going to know how to treat the greater that's coming. When you lacking for so long, you're going to know how to manage your wealth and abundance. You got to stick this waiting season out. You got to tough it out. And you got to keep praying. And you got to keep calling on God for strength. And you got to stay in his word. And you got to keep motivating yourself. You got to keep going. You got to keep waking up every day like today is the day that I'm a get my rightful position. You got to wake up like every day. Today is the day that the butler is going to remember me. That butler, whoever I helped many years ago, God is going to whisper in their ear that they're going to remember me. And they're going to speak my name in kingdom palaces, in rooms that's bigger than I could even imagine. You got to wait it out. You got to allow God to work some things within you. You got to allow God to teach you some things. You got to know that it's bigger than you. God got to circumcise your heart. See, God got to pour love within your heart, because for those people that's coming back to you, who hurt you to the core, you never know what you might have to do for them people. And you can't turn them away. God don't want you to turn away nobody. Do you hear me? God has to circumcise your heart. He got to pour unconditional love within your heart. For the people that you want to hate so bad, but you cannot hate them. Your family, your friends, whoever it is. I don't know who it is. We don't know who it is. But God is going to allow you to reap a harvest so plenteous that they're going to have to come back to you for help. They're going to have to come back to you for you to feed them. They're going to have to come back to you on bending knee. Joseph was not crazy when he dreamed those dreams when he was a little boy. And he told them how y'all gonna bow down to me. But they didn't want to hear it. They said, boy, you crazy. You must be out of your mind. Who is you? Even his daddy. His daddy didn't want to believe him. So you know what? You got to sit with that disappointment. You got to sit with that hurt. You got to sit with that pain. You got to sit with that shame. You got to sit with those accusations. Because God is equipping you. God is setting your harvest up. God is setting up some things for you to prosper, for you to multiply, for you to examine, for you to know how to manage, for you to know how to put the things that God is blessing you with in a proper place. That your land, your palace does not run dry. You done been dry for too long. You've been in a pit for too long. You've been lacking for too long. You've been in jail for too long. God said you've been waiting for too long. It's time for you to go into your rightful position. You cannot faint in this hour. You cannot give up in this hour. You cannot turn back in this hour. You got to keep going. You got to keep believing. You got to keep motivating yourself. You got to keep shutting the TV off. You got to keep shutting the phone off if you have to. It's just you and God in this season. Because, baby, when you're coming out bigger and better than you could ever imagine. You're coming out bigger and better than whoever hurt you could ever imagine. They ain't going to have no choice but to say it was only God. That's what God getting out of your story. His glory. Stick in there and wait and hang in the fight. Because God said you waited long enough.